Do any of you genuinely believe we could go and get a result at St James's Park tonight? Or what do you actually think is more likely? A performance maybe akin to last week in the Champions League at Paris Saint-Germain? Or perhaps worryingly something more like the Christian Stellini Spurs that were 5-0 down at St James's Park by half-time? Who knows? I'll take you through all the pre-match quotes and my prediction for what I think will be a very difficult game this evening. Guys, thanks for watching and listening wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, please do give this video a like. Please do press subscribe. Also, if you want to join me for the watch along tonight, come and join my community on BigUp. Details of how are in the description box below. Also, you can play the predictions game there with tonight's Premier League match. It gives you a chance of winning sweet hard cash. And also, if you play, you will be given 500 big bucks, which basically means playing is free. And also, you'll be entered into a draw to win $25,000 genuinely. So come and join me on BigUp. Also, as you'll see, we've got our sponsor, okjersey.com. They really do sell the best football shirts around, both current and vintage. Scan the QR code or go to the website and type in the code BARN, B-A-R-N, in the coupon box when you get to checkout to get 8% off. But let's get started with some transfer news. And as I said in the title, Inter Milan interested in Guillermo Vicario. I don't think that's how to pronounce his first name, but it just came out. Apparently, they tried to sign him previously, but couldn't pull it off. However, right now, after his mistake that he made at the weekend and the booing, rumors are coming out that Inter want to get him again, possibly in the summer. Now, I wonder if this is his agent trying to put something out there as a result of Vicario being like, I'm not happy here. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Stranger things have happened. This is according to Fabrizio Romano as well, who obviously is the king of the transfer rumors and has his ear to the ground when it comes to speaking to agents. According to Inter, if there's even a small opening to get him in 2026, they would be ready for that. How do you feel about Vicario? For me, I think the abuse that he suffered has been way over the top. He's a good goalkeeper. He's not a great world-class goalkeeper for me, but those are few and far between. Vicario is a good goalkeeper. He's a decent leader. Not great with his feet, sure, but I don't think personally at the moment Kinski is ready to step up, so I wouldn't be willing to sell him as it goes. So obviously, as I said at the top, St James's Park, Newcastle away, one of the hardest games in the fixture list. We've already lost there away in the Carabao Cup, and it's coming off the back of a horrible week of 3 defeats. So will it be, as we expect, probably a terrible, terrible night? Or will the Premier League throw something odd in? With Newcastle having just won their first away game, Spurs being absolutely tanked again all week by Arsenal, by PSG, and then at home by Fulham. Will the Premier League gods turn something around and put in a performance for us, or allow us to put in a performance? Thomas Frank had his pre-match press conference yesterday. He was bullish. He said in terms of Spurs competing on all fronts, we will get there. I'm not in doubt of that. Not in doubt. He said, we're coming from a season where we finished 17th. I have to say, I really dislike it when he says that. That's almost like throwing Ange under the bus. I don't like that. But he went on saying, did fantastically well to win the Europa League. Now we want to compete in both competitions, which is natural, and will take a bit of time without the normal front players, the 4 front players who scored the only goals last season. It's true, but don't you feel like by saying that, Thomas Frank is now slightly moving into Ange territory of blaming everything but himself? He's got to take responsibility. I think he does. But also, he's now being like, and also, I haven't got anything going for me. Come on, mate. Your squad is better than the squad that Fulham had. And Tottenham just managed to find a way to throw in 2 early goals. If we concede an early goal at St James's Park today in the first 2 minutes like we did against Fulham, we'll get absolutely pulverised. We'll get tanked. No doubt about it. So for me, Thomas Frank has to just take responsibility, throw your hands up, say it's my fault, stay behind the players. He said about expectations at Spurs. You can always say there's a challenge when there are big expectations. No, I have no problem with big expectation if you've also earned the right to really compete for those big expectations, which I think it's fair to say we haven't done. I said it near the start that we've not been able to compete in a cup tournament, Europe and the Premier League in the last 6 years. He's really falling back on these excuses right now. Just get some wins, mate, and just get the ball playing through midfield. Just get the ball playing on the floor. Just play some decent football. More important than talking about, what hasn't happened for the last 6 years is, can you get the style of football to be something that the fans, especially at home, can enjoy? That is your big problem right now, Thomas Frank. I think it's one thing where at the beginning we were like, yeah, I think we should be playing more balls into the channel because of what we saw under Ange and how many goals we were conceding. But now when it's just every single ball being knocked into the channel and us not being able to hold the ball up, the ball just comes back at us. The players have no confidence. And I've heard a few people saying it's kind of true. Do you remember that meme that came out of the All or Nothing Amazon documentary when Dele Alli was so annoyed at Jose Mourinho ball because he said it was just, lumping it up field and tackling and defending and counterattacks. And it's kind of like that again. And there has been some reports in the last 48 hours that there's growing frustration within the Tottenham squad towards Thomas Frank, as they have, according to this article that I read, increasing confusion as to what roles players are being tasked with as plans are thrown out or changed either close to kickoff or alarmingly early during games. Do you know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like Thomas Frank, when he sees the team sheet put in by the opposition, he suddenly tries to tweak things from what they've been training with, and it's confusing some of the players. Thing is, it's difficult. We can't have it both ways, because a lot of us said we thought Ange was too single-minded in terms of this is what we do, mate. And now when he first came, we thought it was good that Thomas Frank would play horses for courses, change things. And as with anything, as with Jose, as with Conte, when the results are going well, you don't mind the kind of slightly drudgerous nature of the performances. But when the performances are bad and the results are bad, it is hard to just take every time we just play it. When I do the watch-alongs, and come and join me on the watch-alongs on BigUp, because you'll see me do it, I will actually just shout out every time it's like sideways, sideways, backwards, backwards, sideways, backwards. And sometimes it's like for a minute and a half at a time because they can't find space. I was watching some of Bologna's game last night because I'm interested in their manager, Italiano. And it was really fun to watch, a really good team to watch. And classically, because I was watching them with an eye on Spurs, they then lost 3-1 at home to Cremonese, one of the bottom teams, with Jamie Vardy scoring too. So it was incredibly entertaining, but it was kind of Spurs in that Bologna were all over them and were by far the best team, and they played really kind of one-on-one with their two centre-backs at the back, and then they had a number 6 who was always available in between, but always on the front foot. But there was none of that kind of side-to-side for a minute at a time, and then backwards to the goalkeeper, and then just whacking it long. That's just what I've got used to watching Thomas Frank Spurs, and I'm not really enjoying it, to be totally honest. According to Sky Sports, the Spurs squad have no issue with fans expressing their views at half-time and full-time, but there was a sense of disappointment around the reaction to Vicario's error, which led to Harry Wilson's goal. I've talked about that a lot this week. I think, personally, the reaction from the crowd was almost the crowd's fault, because the crowd have been putting such pressure on the Spurs players to keep the ball on the floor and tutting and groaning and booing when they don't, which, of course, does come back to Thomas Frank as well. But that when it came to Vicario on the sideline, he was like, well, I can't just put it straight out because the crowd will boo me. So he tries to clear it down the line, and as a result, they score, and he gets massively booed. In terms of that disconnect between the fans and the players, Thomas Frank said, I think it's important that we connect with the fans. It's pretty obvious that away from home, we go to the away fans and thank them for their travelling and support. There were maybe not many who clapped after the Fulham game, but I still saw a few. Sometimes they can be emotional, but I would still say clap the fans after the game. You don't have to do the big loop. There's no specific instruction. That's what I recommend. So he's talking about the players applauding the fans after each and every game. And then, of course, there were these reports about the meeting the players had about the fans. Thomas actually said, we didn't have a meeting about the fans. We had a debrief after the Chelsea game about the game, as we do all the time. And it's pretty evident after that game that it was the first time there was a little bit of talk about the fans and the relationship. We had to talk about that, which is natural. Listen, it is simple to me. If you play better football and you show more confidence on the pitch, the fans will get behind you. But those players, especially when they play at home at the moment, they have no confidence whatsoever. And that is the big problem. And that is Thomas Frank's job. That is Thomas Frank's job, to instill confidence, to play in a system that the players are happy with, to play in a formation that the players feel comfortable with, get some confidence going, because they are good players. We have a good squad. It's not the best squad by any means. It needs more, but we have a good squad. Before I go on, let's hear from our sponsors. Get yourself to okjersey.com, where you can buy the best football shirts around, including this one I'm wearing now, and of course, the absolutely magnificent Black Spurs away shirt. And as if that wasn't enough, if you go onto their website and like the look of one of the shirts there, choose your size, pick the Champions League badge for the sleeve as well if you're that way inclined, then go to the checkout and type the code BARN into the coupon section. That's BARN as in short for Barnaby. And when you do, you'll get a whopping 8% off your purchase. Now, I'm no mathematician, but 8% means if you've spent, say, and let's face it, I'm being optimistic here, 100 quid, then you get £8 off, not to be sniffed at. Get yourself to okjersey.com to pick one up, or if you're too lazy to type in the website, just scan the QR code that's on the left of me throughout this video. Enjoy. Okay, in his pre-match press conference, Frank was asked what he meant by a true Spurs fan when he said after the game at Fulham that he didn't think any true Spurs fans would have booed Vicario. He said, when I said the not true Spurs fan, what I meant was that, just to make it clear, was the mocking of our own players. That's where I would stand by what I said. The booing during the game I don't think is helpful. I think all the fantastic fans we have believe they're true Spurs fans. Some react in one way, some react in another, some are a little bit in between. No matter what, we need all of them. That's true. We do need everyone. But like I said just before that break there, you know, they need to be shown something, these fans. They're paying so much money and just for so long, for 6 years, basically, since we moved into that stadium, they've not been shown anything. And that, to me, it trickles down from the top. And obviously, Daniel Levy is gone now, but Vinay Venkatesham and the Lewis family, if it is going to be the Lewis family, and I will still add, it's still ENIC. It is still ENIC. So all of those, you know, marches against Daniel Levy and ENIC, that still counts. And if they don't do anything in January that shows any difference in terms of wages spending or transfer spending, then they should march again, frankly. If people wanted ENIC out before, then they should still march, because it's still ENIC. They've put a different face on it, but it's still Joe Lewis. It's still ENIC, and ENIC is still an investment fund. So something needs to change as far as I'm concerned, and that needs to happen in January. And let's see what happens. He also talked about the fans saying they are very much allowed to be disappointed. No problem. I'm just saying when you play a match at home, it's not as helpful as it is when they can see they're driving the team forward, for example. Of course, it's up to us to do everything we can to perform, so it's going hand in hand. We're nothing without the fans. Tottenham Hotspur is nothing without the fans. My point was that during matches, we need each other. Afterwards, the booing can be fair. During, we need to make the stadium a fortress, and to do that, we need to be together. To make the stadium a fortress, we need to scare other teams who come there, not just lay out the red carpet for them. Buddy, I've said it so many times. Opposition teams just love coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They love the facilities, but also on top of that, they love the fact that all they need to do is put in a decent start, watch Tottenham crumble, and then score a goal and get in their faces, and Spurs won't bring anything back. We really miss James Maddison, Decky Kulusevski when it comes to that kind of stuff, in terms of taking games by the scruff of the neck, being brave on the ball, being kind of... We talk about leadership and think it's about kind of shouting, but actually sometimes it's just about bravery on the ball and thinking, okay, I'm going to be the player who can change this. That's where we really miss them. Frank was asked about the fans turning on him. He said, if you want to say I'm losing the fans, how many is that? 5, 10, 15, 20%? Of course, we'd like to get all 100% on board. I mean, I think that sticks with what Thomas Frank has been saying for a while, which is that he doesn't read any of the press or any of the social media, so he doesn't know what's kind of happening, turning. But let me know in the comments how you feel about Thomas Frank. Are you turning on him? Has he got it? A lot of the people in the podcast that I really respect are saying they don't think he's the right man. It does feel very Nuno at the moment. The difference between Frank and Nuno, though, is I think Frank is a great communicator. So if we can turn it round, I think that the confidence would lift pretty quickly in terms of with the players and with the fans, whereas with Nuno, he just never seemed to really fit and want to be the Spurs manager and believe that he could be the Spurs manager. But let's see what happens. Thomas Frank was also asked whether Vicario will be dropped. He said, oh, no, not for me. He made one mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. It's about how you carry yourself in good and bad times, and he's very consistent. His character is fantastic in every aspect. So that sticks with what I was saying at the top. I don't think we should let go of Vicario yet. I don't think we've got better options. And like I said, I don't think ENIC are going to show us that they're willing to spend the money on a very top-notch goalkeeper, which would be, you know, £75 million plus realistically, like Liverpool spent on Alisson many years ago to get one of the world-class ones in. And then finally, Thomas Frank was asked about Xavi Simons not having started any of the 3 matches last week. He said, there's a reason why we have Xavi here. I think he's a very good player. He's trained very well. It's not the first time a player stepped into the Premier League and needs a bit of adaptation. Well, don't forget, Damsgaard for Brentford took a long time to get used to the Premier League. And then in the last season or 2 under Frank, he was absolutely brilliant. I expect the same will happen with Simons. We're going to have to be patient, but be interesting to see if he plays him tonight, where, you know, if we go to Newcastle without any creativity, that'll be interesting. Although equally, you could see why against a really muscular midfield of Tonali, Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes, you might want someone a bit more physical in there. If he does play against them, you can imagine him being knocked off the ball pretty regularly. All right, here's my team prediction for tonight, though. I have put him in because I think he'll have to come in, seeing as we lost all 3 games without him. But I've gone Vicario. I think he'll bring in Spence. on the right at right back instead of Porro for a bit of physicality. Udogie on the left, Van de Ven and Romero. He will play Bentancur and Polina away at Newcastle, I think. Then Simons, and then Odobe on the left, Kudus on the right, Randall Colomorani. And I'm afraid my score prediction is 3-1 to the Geordies. I just cannot see us putting in a great performance. I hope by saying that I'm dead wrong, but I fear I won't be. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Do give this video a like. Do subscribe to the channel for daily Tottenham Hotspur news. And like I said at the top, join me on BigUp for tonight's watch along. Details of how to join in the description box below. And you can play the prediction game. You basically get to play it for free because they'll give you 500 big bucks in reply. And then you just have to predict 4 to 6 things and you win money yourself, and you'll be entered into a draw to win $25,000. That will be more important than a win at Newcastle even. Well, maybe for you individually, but we all want the big win. Most importantly, though, of course, come on, you Spurs. Get yourself to okjersey.com, where you can buy the best football shirts around, including this one I'm wearing now, and of course, the absolutely magnificent black Spurs away shirt. And as if that wasn't enough, if you go onto their website and like the look of one of the shirts there, choose your size, pick the Champions League badge for the sleeve as well if you're that way inclined, then go to checkout and type the code BARN into the coupon section. That's BARN as in short for Barnaby. And when you do, you'll get a whopping 8% off your purchase. Now, I'm no mathematician, but 8% means if you've spent, say, and let's face it, I'm being optimistic here, 100 quid, then you'd get £8 off, not to be sniffed at. Get yourself to okjersey.com to pick one up, or if you're too lazy to type in the website, just scan the QR code that's on the left of me throughout this video.